Welcome back to Open Line, talking with Senate Majority Leader, the Senate Republican leader, Mark Norris, Republican from Collierville, on a big day because this is the day that the Improve Act passed. The gasoline tax also cuts taxes on groceries. That passed today. So we've been talking about that, talk about it some more. Let's go to the phones. Let's go to Thomas. Hello, Thomas.
Yes, how you doing?
Fine, go ahead.
What bothers me about this gas tax, they'll have to keep coming back, and we're going to have to increase the tax on gasoline. And it's too late now to even talk about it, but I had called senators before. Why couldn't they put a tax on alcohol? When times get hard, people are still going to drink beer and drink whiskey.
So more of a sin tax.
Yeah, that's right. Hey, they don't lighten up on it. They keep drinking it.
You know, say, in fact, they may drink more, right?
That's right, because they can't go on vacation, stuff like that, to drink more. Stay at home and drink more.
It's a good question. And let me just say this, that the pennies at the pump that have been paid since 1989 have lasted us almost 30 years. Now, the purchasing power of those pennies, say 21.4 cents for the state, has declined because of more fuel efficiency and a number of things, but it's really got the purchasing power of about 11 cents today. If it had been indexed and had floated up with cost of living and other things, it should have been as high as 39 cents. So what we've done with 6 cents in the case of gasoline, taking it up to, let's say, 27.4, is to maximize our opportunity. You look at what we've done with that little bit we had before for the last almost 30 years. This, we were told by the Department of Transportation, should hold us well into the future. It's going to help accelerate that backlog of projects and move it up to where we hope we can break ground within the next 3 years on most of the projects and perhaps complete them in 10 to 13 years as opposed to 20 to 30 years.
So we've talked about it on this show, and that's one of the things that people say. Once you start raising taxes, then they come back for more. What are you saying about how long? I mean, this is over 3 years, but how long do you think this 6 cents lasts us?
Well, I think this 6 cents could last for another 20 years. And we don't always come back for more. The state of Tennessee, as I said earlier in the show, has actually been cutting taxes, slashing taxes, repealing taxes, and I know because I've been the sponsor. The repeal of the gift tax, the repeal of the death tax, which has just been so beneficial, particularly in rural areas, to our farmers who can keep their farms now rather than having to sell them to pay the death tax. The reduction in the hall tax. We only did 1% when I filed the appropriations bill to sponsor that last year. This bill today takes us and makes the commitment and pays for it going forward, 1% a year over a total of 6 years. The hall tax goes. But we also have other tax needs addressed here for veterans, for the disabled, for the elderly in Tennessee, increased property tax breaks for those very important Tennesseans. And so when people say we don't cut taxes, we always want more, that's not true in Tennessee. And that's what makes us, as I said, one of the lowest taxed and the lowest indebted states in the United States.
And Thomas said he would prefer to see there be tax on alcohol, sin tax, alcohol, cigarettes. That's always tough. Now they have a very strong lobby. How does that come into the conversation? I mean, we talked about how roads are in desperate need. Does that come in? Let's increase tax on alcohol or cigarettes.
Not under Republican majorities, because we don't like to raise run-of-the-mill taxes. Under the Democratic rule years ago, we had the tobacco tax, taxes of that sort. But we're really risk-averse when it comes to additional taxes. I don't gild the lily in referring to the gas tax and the diesel tax, although technically those are user fees. Those are monies paid by people who are on the roads, using the roads, crossing the bridges. It's sort of a different kind of pay-as-you-go. So to start raising taxes, be it on alcohol or cigarettes or property taxes, we don't have a state property tax, to pay for roads is sort of mixing apples and oranges. It's much better when you pay for what you use and you get the best return on investment that way. We like Tennesseans to keep their money rather than take it away through taxation. The more they have, the more they will spend, and that helps generate additional revenues as well. Another thing, Ben, in this is a very important cut in the franchise and excise tax. Now, some of the opponents said, oh, that's a rich person's tax. It's nonsense. This is for manufacturing concerns in the state to decide whether they want to elect to pay taxes on a reapportioned part of sales only, and without getting too far down in the weeds. This will affect over 500 companies in the state of Tennessee. Now, there are 24 of those companies who pay most of the franchise and excise tax in Tennessee. That's true. But all told, over 310,000 Tennesseans are employed by the manufacturing firms that will benefit from the franchise and excise tax cut included in the legislation today. Not to mention the new manufacturing concerns, which we hope will come into Tennessee, or existing firms that may expand. I personally have been involved in trying to recruit some manufacturers from out of state. We all but had one, which at the last moment went to Georgia because their F&E, franchise and excise tax, was more competitive than Tennessee's. With this bill today, I could have landed that factory. They would be here. So we're benefiting Tennesseans in a whole host of ways. If you don't benefit from keeping your money through the sales tax cut on food, the place where you work may benefit. Your wages may go up. Your company may expand. You will do better there. If not there, maybe you're one of the group that will benefit from enhanced property tax relief. All these things in this bill are good for Tennessee and Tennesseans.
Let's go to Taylor. Hello, Taylor. Taylor, are you there?
Yes, excuse me.
Go right ahead, Taylor.
Well, I appreciate what the good senator has to say, and I'm not opposed to the gas tax. I figured up my mileage, my mile per gallon, and I'm going to pay about $65 a year more when it reaches 6 cents. One thing that does bother me is the fact that this tax is indexed to go up by some indexing figure, and I hope it's one that's as bad as the Social Security index is, giving you pennies a month extra. And I would appreciate later him saying which index that is.
Hey, I've got good news.
Tax decreases that you mentioned, I would say the death tax or inheritance tax, the hall income tax, the excise tax is all going to go to mainly the professionals that make an awful lot of money, the doctors, the lawyers, and the one thing that the average Tennessee family will save a little on is on the grocery tax.
Right.
And it was one of the highest in the country, so it makes sense that it would come down a little.
Right.
The 4 cents you mentioned is only the state part. We still have a county and city tax on that food.
So is your concern about that it's not, a lot of these taxes that have been cut have been for wealthier people? Is that a concern?
It's absolutely correct, and I would...
All right, well, let's talk about that.
Yeah.
So you did list a series of taxes. Many of those are people with stocks, and he said professionals, wealthier people.
Right. A couple of points. I wanted to cheer him up. In the amended bill that was accepted by the governor and that we passed today, I removed the indexing. So that's one of your concerns. There is no indexing in the law that we passed today.
What does that mean? I don't know. What does that mean?
As originally proposed, the governor had hoped that we would have a, let's call it a cost of living adjustment, but a mechanism by which every several years the tax on fuel would rise or fall based on cost of living. And My position on that was that you elect us to be held accountable to you, the taxpayers, and when and if the General Assembly thinks that adjustments in revenues need to be made, we need to make the case to you each time, not have some automatic built-in escalator. And so you'll be able to continue holding us accountable for what we do. But I think the most important thing is for you to hold your elected officials accountable for telling you the truth. And when repairs need to be made, when your roads and bridges are dangerous, you can't be a chicken. You can't be scared to step up and do the right thing. Take it to the people. Vote it up or down. I've lost plenty of votes in my day. Well, we won this one today, and we won it for you. The concern about taxes only affecting the rich. I'll tell you, when I repealed began the repeal of the hall tax, I was overwhelmed with the realization that so many of our senior citizens in this state were being penalized for lives well lived, very frugally saving for that rainy day, saving for their futures as they grew, we hope, gracefully aged in place. And here, lo and behold, they find in their retirement years they were having to pay taxes on their nest eggs, those savings that they'd accrued. We've got this silver tsunami coming here in Tennessee. I think we have something like 10,000 new 65-year-olds and older in America every day. And that was sort of cruel and unusual. So actually, those are not wealthy people. They're people who've saved a lifetime through hard work, and so they're no longer being penalized. And as I mentioned, a lot of our rural residents were suffering with the inheritance tax. I call it the death tax. So we've repealed that. Cutting the sales tax on food will help everyone, I think. And the franchise and excise tax reductions are going to help those who employ over 300,000 Tennesseans, and we hope will bring in new employers to this state. And then additional property tax relief for the elderly, the disabled, and our veterans in this state.
All right, we have to take a break. Taylor, thanks for the call. Also, Thomas, if you're on the line, hold on. If you want to call in, there's the number, 615-737-PLUS, 615-737-7587. Take a break. Be back right after this.